welcome to A Homespun House. I'm Molly, and I want to thank you so much for sitting down and knitting with me, crafting with me, or just watching and relaxing with me. I want to start off by saying I still have a cold, so I am very sorry ahead of time for all of my sniffing and maybe short breath, because I feel like I'm kind of short breath lately while I've been sick. So I'm just so happy that you're here to hang out with me. I wanted to say thank you so much for all of the feedback from my last episode. I did not expect to get so much feedback. It was so wonderful. All of the PMs, all of the messages on the forum. It was just really awesome. So thank you guys for being so supportive and for giving me your feedback. Your feedback was basically just kind of the feeling that I had all along. And that was just to kind of wing it, just to kind of wing each podcast and do whatever I feel like doing at the beginning of each podcast, and doing my podcast however I want, and not even having a set way that I do things. I kind of just want to talk about what I want to talk about when I want to talk about it, and I hope that you guys can follow along as I talk about each thing. I'm sure you will. You guys are all smart. Not that it's hard or anything. Yeah, so I appreciate it. It was so awesome. Sometimes I'll tell stories, sometimes I won't. Sometimes I'll have magazine clippings, sometimes I won't. Sometimes I'll just jump right into the works in progress, and other times you'll just kind of have to fly at the seat of your pants and see how it goes. Today I'm going to be talking about never would I ever. And what I mean by that is some crafts. I'm curious what all sort of crafts you guys have said you would never ever do. Or maybe even a craft that you were so thrown off by, you weren't attracted to it at all, and now you do it. For me, this is crochet. I'm sorry for all of you who crochet, but I used to think that crochet was the most horrendous, ugly looking thing. And I'm not kidding. I used to think it was just terrible looking. I hated crochet. I thought I will never ever crochet. It was not for me. I talked so down about crochet. I thought knitting was just the most amazing thing ever. And yeah, so there was a time when my view on crochet was just, I wasn't a fan of it at all. I wasn't drawn to it. I didn't think it was beautiful. And that really, really changed for me. I definitely, for the most part, like knitted items better, especially garments. But I do think crochet has its place, and I've since then learned to crochet. I never thought I would crochet. When I first started knitting, the only crochet that I learned was just a chain, because there are some patterns that my grandma knits and that use a crochet chain. And maybe for borders and things like that, I thought it was okay. Yeah. So I really started to like crochet maybe 2 years ago. 3 years ago? No, maybe longer. 3 years ago, I would say. Right, maybe the time that I was pregnant with Elodie. And I really started to get into this granny chic sort of style, which I've mentioned before. It's my favorite. I really love, like I've talked about, knickknacks. I love doilies. The thing that first originally made me fall in love with crochet is doilies. And I just fell in love with them. I thought they were so beautiful. I thought they were so delicate, so intricate, so just kind of amazing looking. And I wanted doilies in my home, and I wanted to be able to make them. I honestly never fathomed that I would be able to make a doily. But I have since then made a couple of doilies. And I don't have any with me. I'm like the most terrible host ever. Maybe next episode I'll share a couple of the crocheted things that I have made. I haven't made a lot because I only learned to crochet, I don't even think a year ago. I mean, really crochet. I took to it very quickly. I think because I've done so many different sorts of handcrafts, and I pick up those sorts of things quite fast, which is really nice. And a friend taught me how to crochet granny squares. I really wanted to learn because I had been kind of new to Instagram at this time, and I slowly started to follow a couple of people who really had this granny chic style, and almost all of them crocheted. They didn't knit. And I really was drawn to all of these granny square blankets. A lot of them use, I would say half of them are using acrylic yarn, half of them were using really nice, good quality yarn. I never am drawn to anything made out of acrylic. I would love to have a talk sometime where we talk about acrylic and wool. I did on my old podcast, but on this podcast I haven't, so I think it would be a fun discussion for us to have. Anyway, so I first learned to make granny squares, and I made 2 cushions out of them. They turned out really nicely. I don't have them anymore. I gave them to a friend. I made them with a coral pink, a light baby blue, and then a cream. They looked really beautiful. And each cushion had 9 granny squares, and then they had a border. And they were kind of put together differently, and then there was fabric on the back. And they turned out really nicely. I was quite proud of them. I whipped those babies out, and those were the only granny squares that I've ever made. Then I started to make a new kind of granny square. I made the popcorn puff ones, which I've showed you before. The ones that I was making while I was on my way to work, when I was taking the tram at the time. Now I'm taking my bike, so obviously I can't crochet or knit or anything on my bike. So that project has been put on hold for a little bit. That was a project that I worked on in the summer of last summer all the time. And then I thought, you know what? I'm just going to dive into making doilies. That's the one reason I really wanted to learn how to crochet for granny squares and doilies. And I'm going to do it. I want doilies. I think they're beautiful. They'd be a lovely gift to give people. And that's what I want to learn how to do. And I can do it. I'm not afraid of doing it. And so I did. I found a pattern for a really pretty pineapple style doily. For those of you who crochet, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. And I made my first one. I made it with a really pretty pastel yellow, and I gifted it to my grandma because I thought it would be really, really special for her to have the first thing that I ever crocheted. And then the second one that I made was the same pattern in a red. When I first made it, I've showed you guys this before, I think. Maybe I've shown it on my other podcast. If I haven't showed you on this one, I'll show that next episode anyway. Most of the things that I've crocheted, I've gifted, which kind of stinks that I can't really show you. I only have a couple of items. And then I started to make a third doily, which was a pink, really light pink color. And I haven't worked on that for quite a while, maybe 3 months since I've last worked on it. So that's as far as my crochet journey has taken me. I feel pretty confident in it. I think crochet is easier than knitting. I think if you're wanting to learn crochet or knitting, actually no, I'm not going to say that. That's for me, crochet seems it's really easy, although knitting also is very easy. But I really enjoy it. Crochet is so relaxing. It's so fast. It eats up so much yarn though. But it's just funny how there are so many things that you think are not nice or you're not attracted to, and how fast your taste changes, not only with knitting, but I mean, you can say this to so many other things. But what are some things that you guys thought that you would never do? Some crafts that you were so maybe unattracted to, or you thought, oh, I would never have time to do that, that you do now. If there is anything, maybe even the craft that you do now you thought you would never do, or you thought, oh, I'll never knit, that's for grannies. I'm curious. I would love to hear your stories. Like I said, I really love crochet now. I'm not the biggest fan of crocheted garments, but I love doilies and granny squares, and I really, really love crocheted animals, amigurumi, and things of that nature. I really like that small part of crochet. I'm not particularly drawn to garments, like I said, but I do like crocheting, and I think it's so funny that I crochet now, because if you would have heard the things that I said about crochet, you would be shocked to know that I'm crocheting now. I'm not crocheting anything at the moment, but I have been knitting, and I have been obsessing. I mean, I've really been obsessing in the time that I have had to knit. Now, granted, you guys all know I have a daughter, I'm working, but I feel like I've gotten quite a bit of knitting done on my Raven's Nest shawl. I showed you guys last week my Tuft Woolens soaps. Here they are again. So I got the sock sampler pack. Here it is. And it comes in 5 amazing smells. I mentioned last week how blown away I am by Martha and her company. I'm so blown away. I think it is such amazing quality. The prices are so ridiculous. I will buy and buy again from her now that I've tried these soaps. Who knows when the next time I will buy from, because this is going to last me forever. And I think it's an amazing gift to give to people. But the reason why I bring it up again this podcast is because I've split my 5 bars apart, and while I've only opened the one that I've washed my socks with, which I'll talk about in just a minute, I have all of the other 4 in each project bag. So in this one I have the Mossy Woods. The Mossy Woods I have inside of my my Nature's Luxury. This is the Bliss A in the inky colorway. It's 65% cashmere, 35% silk. And I've been putting all of my soaps in there because I love the way that my yarn is smelling when I'm knitting with it. I open up my project bag, I take out my project, and I am greeted with this just light, relaxing, if this makes any sense, it's just this kind of meditative, head clearing, wonderful smell. I'm really drawn to the smells of her soaps. And yeah, so I have each one inside of my project bags, and I'm so much enjoying opening up each bag when I'm working on each project and getting that magnificent smell. So I've completed my first skein of yarn. I've caked them both up. I showed you a while ago that I was getting all cake happy, and I caked up a bunch of my skeins of yarn. So here's the second one. I have not even started on it yet, but I certainly will. I'm very excited to attach this and finishing the first ball. I know that I'm so much of a process knitter, but finishing the one cake of yarn, I was so excited. And I felt like it was going on forever. But as soon as I was getting nearer and nearer and nearer to the end of cake, I was just thinking and saying to Robert, oh, just one more row. Just let me do one more row. I just want to knit one more row. And I got to the end of that row this morning before I left for work, and I get to cast on my new, or not cast on, I get to attach the new ball of yarn. And this yarn, I'll say it again, the Bliss A in the inky colorway, it's by Nature's Luxury. It's a German brand. Danitza, she dyes all of her own yarn. She also has some yarn on the webpage that is, oh, I thought I made a mistake. She also has some yarn on the webpage that isn't dyed by her, but she has amazing yarns dyed by her, really luxurious, hence the name Nature's Luxury. And so here's how far I've gotten. I've finished the first repeat and I've just started the second one. So the shawl is getting to be a nice size, and I think once it's finished, it'll be about this much bigger. So I think it will be quite generous. I am a little bit scared that I will run out of yarn. I'm following the pattern exactly for the smallest size, but I'm getting a bit nervous that the next ball won't be enough, because there are 4 repeats total, and I just have the feeling that maybe it's not going to cut it. We'll see. If it doesn't, I have no idea what I'm going to do. Maybe just end it sooner, maybe just do 3 repeats. I don't know. But I'm hoping. You guys cross your fingers for me. In Germany, we press our thumbs, so press your thumbs for me that that it all works out, that I have enough yarn. I still have another cake, as you saw, but I'm hoping that there's enough. I'm enjoying this pattern. I am loving this pattern. It's the Raven's Nest Shawl by Judy Marples. I've never knit one of her patterns before, but I've heard so many lovely things about her. And I haven't knit a lot of lace. I've knit some lace, and I'm enjoying this lace. I'm so enjoying it. In one of Susan B. Anderson's, she kind of has a podcast that she puts out monthly. And in one of her last podcasts, she talked about this lace pattern that she was knitting. And she was knitting a shawl as well. I think she was knitting a small shawlette. And she was talking about how almost the entire thing was lace, but the lace was changing quite often. And she was talking about how fun it was and how she had forgotten how popcorny it is to be knitting on a shawl or a project and have it be changing and just be looking at a chart and be so interested in what you're knitting rather than just, okay, knitting stockinette or garter stitch, which is really fun as well. Don't get me wrong. I love that. It totally has its place. I am the hugest fan of garter stitch, but because I haven't done this sort of a pattern for a while, let me give you guys a little close-up on this actually while I'm talking about it. But because I haven't done this sort of a pattern in quite a while, I had forgotten. And it's so enjoyable. It's so fun. I don't know how many times I can say that, but I love it. I really love it, and I'm having so much fun with it again. And I'm happy because once I was knitting the stockinette section, near the end, it was getting a little bit old. Near the end, I would say the last hour was dragging on a bit. But now it's not dragging on at all. I'm just having a fantastic time knitting on it. It's really inspiring me in my own shawl design. So I'm using 2 stitch markers for this shawl. There they are. They're very simple. I've shown them to you before. They're such wonderful stuff, stitch markers. And I'm giving away 2 different stitch markers to 2 lucky viewers. So one of the viewers will win the Cyborg Craft Room yarn in the Joan Collins Blazer colorway. It's a 75% superwash merino wool, 20% nylon, 5% stellina, sorry. I won't talk a lot about it because I've shown you this in every podcast. And here are the stitch markers that you'll be winning. There are so many in here. And as always, I love the tin. I love opening it. I love closing it. I love the noise it makes. Whoops. And then the other winner will win the Color Adventures yarn in the Forest colorway. This is a DK yarn, 75% merino, 20% silk, and 5% stellina. And then they will win a set of the jumbo stitch markers. They're a little bit larger than the normal extended ones, or just the normal stitch markers. They're both extended versions. Extended just means that you get more in the package than normal. So I love those. I think I've been using them for most every project. Yeah, except for one of the projects I'm working on. And because it's an older project and I just kept the stitch markers that were with it. So this is great. I love knitting this. Who knows how I'll feel about it this week. Maybe I won't knit on it at all. We'll see. Whatever I'm feeling inspired to knit. And you guys, it's 3.5 weeks until my parents come. I'm so excited. The only reason I mentioned that is because if this is your first episode, I'm knitting this for my mom. And so I'm thinking about her when I'm knitting it. And I'm thinking about how excited I'm going to be when she gets here and when she gets to see it. So that will be... I'm super stoked for that. Okay, so because I have been working on that shawl so much, my shawl that I'm knitting with my own pattern has gotten 0 love. I haven't knit on it at all. But just as a reminder, I want to show you the beautiful yarn that I'm using because I'm so in love with this. And this is Decadently Divine yarn in the Squash Bloom colorway. Or Squash Blossom, I'm sorry. I love this yarn. I have my Vanilla Almond sock soap in here. That one's her best seller, I guess. It smells really nice. It wouldn't be the first one that I would choose, but I love it. I really enjoy that smell. The next thing that I've been working on is my White Birch Fiber Arts in the Refractory colorway, my socks. I have no idea where I was with these the last time I spoke with you, but I'm a bit into the foot now. I feel like the last time I talked with you guys, I said that I will have these finished, or I hoped to have them finished, but I got way too carried away on my shawl. I had so much fun knitting on it, like I said. So this is how far I am at the moment. I'm still enjoying knitting on this pattern. Maybe I will try and knit on my socks while I... Oh shoot, I totally can't. Well, let's try. I'm on a pattern row. So, yeah, it was funny because when I was watching Juniper Grace, her podcast, she talked about how she had a goal that she wanted to knit while she podcasted. And then in her podcast, she was like, okay, this is not working. I cannot podcast and knit at the same time. So whatever works for you. I noticed that in the single, when people are podcasting by themselves, it's a lot harder to knit because you don't have those pause moments where your partner is talking, and You can sit in it. I use my hands a lot when I talk. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I definitely do, because I'm quite expressionate, I guess. Anyway, yeah, so I'm enjoying knitting these. I'm enjoying the yarn. I really like it. Oh, see, there you are. I just knit the whole repeat round. I really love the yarn. I'm excited to wear them, and I don't know what I will do with them. I don't know if I will gift them or if I will keep them and wear them. That's still kind of up in the air. I know my mom wants a lot of socks, but we'll see. We shall see. Yeah, so that's enough about these. You guys have heard a lot about them. I also have the Nature's Luxury with the yarn that she gave me, with the Bliss A yarn. She also gave me a really small mini skein of the Farouche yarn is what it's called. And so it's Farouche. It's 65% silk, 35% baby camel. It is amazingly soft, and I got a little cake out of it. What's going on here? This is the size of my cake. I have no idea how much it is. And this is how much I got. I guess I should weigh it. I don't even know what I would guess. Maybe 50 meters. I decided I wanted so bad. I took this to work with me with the Bird of Happiness pattern by Sarah Elizabeth Kellner. I really want to cast one of those on with this. I think it would be so nice. This yarn is so luxurious that it would be perfect for a little hanging ornament. Or my initial thought with this, and I spoke with you guys about this, was little hearts. And I thought maybe I would get 2 out of this. I thought it would be perfect for 2 little hearts for making a sachet and putting some lavender inside. But then I saw this Bird of Happiness pattern, and I thought, that is perfect. My grandma loves birds. She's really drawn to birds. She knows a lot about birds. For her, I think birds often represent peace. And so this pattern really reminds me of her. You should really go and look it up. It's really cute, really nice bird pattern. It's called, like I said, The Bird of Happiness by Sarah Elizabeth Kellner. And I wanted to knit one of these, or start knitting one during nap time today, but our day was really busy at the Kita. We baked cupcakes, we decorated cupcakes, we dyed and colored eggs, and we went on a field trip grocery shopping for the cupcake ingredients all together. And there was no quiet time. During quiet time today, we decorated the muffins. So that's why I didn't get any knitting done. But it was fine. We had a really nice day together, and it was worth it to not be able to knit during quiet time. And with Easter coming, it's so nice for them to have those fun, extra special activities to do during the day. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to use this yarn for, the Bird of Happiness pattern. I'm hoping that I can get 2 birds out of this. We'll see. But I think it's a lovely pattern. And I still would like to fill them with a little bit of lavender. That's my goal, to go to the Turkish market. They have these Turkish markets here because Berlin, as far as the immigrants go, most of them are Turkish. And so they have these huge markets. Turkish market is what it's called. And they have loads of fresh produce and just a bunch of random things, spices, herbs, fruits, veggies, different breads, different pre-made foods that you can eat, all freshly made, meats, fish, They have lots of fabric, very generously priced. It's just really fun to have a look. I look forward to going to the market when I can or when I have time. The problem is that the market's only open Tuesday and Friday, and so I can never go now that I'm working. So maybe I'll have to wait until my parents come, and then we can have a look around the Turkish market for some fresh lavender, because I know that they have it there. And yeah, so that's what that yarn will become. The next and final thing that I've been knitting on is my Grace cardigan. You guys, I put this down for so long. It's something that I'm struggling with. I keep forgetting where I am in the pattern. And while I write it down after I finish, I can never remember if I wrote it down last time, if I wrote it down the time before. I'm just so confused by this pattern. I feel like when you're working on any sort of lace in anything, you have to wait until, if you plan on stopping for a while, you have to wait until you're finished with a big part so that you can restart again. Because I think I knit 5 rows on this, so I still have almost nothing. This is as far as I am. It's the top of the neck. It's right here. Oops. And I feel like what I've done is wrong. So I almost want to rip the whole thing out and start over, which kills me. And I feel like, I don't know if I'm super happy with the fabric that this is. I'm using Wollmeise in the Grasshopper colorway. So I don't know. I'm wondering if I should rip the entire thing out, which doesn't sound like a lot of fun, but I really love this pattern. It was gifted to me by a viewer, and it's one that I do want to knit. I think it's so beautiful. Juniper Grace, who I already talked about with the sock knitting, she knit this cardigan for her wedding, and she wore it on her wedding day. And I'm using my Carbons needles for this as well. I'm using them on the Grace cardigan in the 3.5 millimeter, and then I believe I'm using the 4 millimeter for my Raven's Nest. Those are still hands down my favorite needles. If you need needle recommendations, get the Carbons needles from Knit Pro in the metal ones. They're amazing with the black. They're kind of like grips in the center. I adore them. So that's it for my works in progress. I've been working on a lot. I've been having lots of ideas in my mind. I've been having so much fun knitting. I've been inspired by everything that I'm knitting, and it's wonderful. It's so nice to be feeling creative and enjoying what you're doing. I think I said this in the last podcast, which is so awesome. It's so neat to realize that I've been having so much fun with my craft, as one should be having. My great-grandma's teacups, by the way. I've talked about these as well. My grandma Ruby's, so my grandma Sue's mother. This is the finished White Birch Fiber Arts socks. If you haven't seen the episode where I've shown these before. So one of them is finished. Oh, something else that I wanted to talk about. Kind of a tool of the trade that I absolutely love. And that is my Knit Pro Chart Keeper. So this is what it looks like. And you open it. It's quite big, which is nice. It's the perfect size for your paper or your pattern. And inside there is a slot for a pen, which it comes with. It comes with this pen, which works totally fine. It's a really fine, thin tip, which is so nice for knitted patterns. And then there's a pocket in here where you can put whatever you want. I have my Grace pattern in there. And then I have just the the casing that it came with. It's the Magma Knitting Chart Keeper, the size large. So this Velcro's shut. And then on the other side, you just snap this together in the center, like so. I'll show you. And then it stays open. So you can set it on your table when you're knitting. For example, I love to sit on my sofa and knit. And so then I just set this on my coffee table in front of me. I plop my pattern on there. And then there's this, which is your row keeper. It keeps track of your rows. So right now I have my my Raven's Nest shawl pattern on here because that's what I've been frantically knitting. And so I love this. There is no way that Elodie can get to this. There's no way that that she can kind of mess up what I'm working on. I feel like when you have younger children, it's so easy for your pattern to get drawn on, or this is how I used to have my patterns. I used to have a sticky note next to where I was, and then I would kind of move it around or write notes next to different things, but those had gotten taken off or moved around with Elodie. Maybe I left it on the table and I was knitting and Elodie quickly picked one off and I didn't remember where I was. So this way with the magnets, she's not for some reason interested in it at all. She's never tried to take them off. And then these magnets here hold the paper. They are ridiculously strong. You can pinch your skin in between them, which is wonderful. If you have a thick pattern, it will keep it all on there. I adore this. My main pattern that I'm working on stays in here. This stays in here until my Raven's Nest shawl is finished. And I love it. I really like it. I think it's a tool that if you have the money to buy, it's not even so expensive. It's 100% worth it. I've had this for quite a while. I think 2 months, maybe 3 months. And I love it. It gets so much use. Some things that I have received this week are from Rock and Strings Creation. So, the first thing that I've received is some sock yarn in the Tenacious base. I love these colors. It's 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. It's 410 yards, and it is in the raisin colorway. Totally raisin-like. It's nice and squishy. I really love the transition of the colors on here. Like I haven't knit with it, so I can't tell you exactly how it knits, but it seems fine. I mean, the base is really nice. The 80 merino, 20 nylon, perfect for sock knitting. It's really, really bouncy, and I love the plum purple and then the really violet purple with the brown. I don't have any yarn that has purple and brown together, so I'm excited to knit a pair of socks with these at some point. Or something. I have a lot of sock yarn lately. And then the other one that I got, which is really bright, and I am not the hugest fan of the bright rainbow colorways, to be honest. I really like, I'm drawn to the roving, the rainbow roving, depending upon, I'm quite picky about it. But this one, it's kind of, it's, the colors I'm more drawn to. So maybe they're more jewel toned in a way, I guess, except for the yellow. It's kind of a plum purple with a lilac purple and a teal turquoise blue, sky blue, browns. I hope the colors are showing up nice and accurately. This is the Serendipity base. And it is 100% superwash merino. This does not have a colorway on it. But I love it. I really like it. So there's that one. And then the other two things, which I have received from Rock and Strings Creation. Okay, wait. It's Rock and String Creation. From Rock and String Creation are two things of roving. So this first one, again, has the purple and the brown with some really hot pink. I think that looks so fun. That neon color is so in lately, and I've seen it everywhere. It is 100% Falkland, and it is the Conundrum colorway. There are 4 ounces of that. I've never spun Falkland. I have some Falkland wool, and I've heard amazing things about it. So I'm curious to see how that spins up. The other one, which I am most excited about, is this pencil roving. I've never spun pencil roving, and I've never spun alpaca. I think my heart must have a soft spot for alpaca because I think it's so silk-like. I know that whoever that is, call alpaca poor man's cashmere, and it so is. It is so soft. It is so silk-like. It reminds me of some of the silk blends that I've spun. And I just adore it. I really love it. It's so soft. And I've never spun with alpaca, like I said before, so I think it will be a lot of fun to spin. And this one also has that neon pink in it. I don't have any wool in these sort of colors. I think it will be so easy to spin with the pencil roving. Similar to, obviously not similar at all, but Rolags are so easy to spin. I think that the pencil roving will be ridiculously quick. There's obviously almost no prep on it. There's no prep. For me, anyway, I won't prep it. And yeah, so it's, again, teal, gray, purple, this neon pink, and I'm quite intrigued by it, actually, so that will be fun. And yeah, I love those. These two here will be used as giveaways in our next knit along. So you will be seeing more from these and hearing more about Rock and String Creation in the future. So how sweet is that of her to donate 2 of them to you guys to give away. I love that. And what beautiful yarn and fiber. I think that's so exciting. And hey, I totally want to talk about our next giveaway. We also got loads of feedback on that, which was so exciting. I think, these are my thoughts. We still have a little bit of time to talk about this more, but it's, in my mind, been completely narrowed down to socks or handwork craft along. This is what I think. I think that in May we should do socks because May is still, okay, not for all of us, not for the Australians. May is still cold. May is still a little bit cold anyway. And I think it makes maybe more sense to be knitting socks because I would love to have a sock along. And any sock you want, it's just as long as it's socks. And then I think June, once the weather is warming up, maybe those smaller crafts then come into place. Cross stitch, embroidery, drawing, painting, spinning, smaller things. I mean, sure, you were 100% free to do bigger things, but those sort of things aren't hanging on your lap. Okay, a sock isn't either, but a sock is a warmer sort of project. I don't even know if this makes sense to you, but that was just kind of my thought. I thought maybe it's fun in May to do a sock along, and then in June to do a free for all craft along. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you like those ideas. I like them, obviously, and I so appreciate all the feedback that you gave on the knit-alongs. I totally understand about the Cooperative Press knit-along. I didn't want to make you feel guilty or anything that you didn't join. It's not a big deal at all. If you couldn't join because of any reason, you don't have to give me any reason. It's okay, I understand. I'm happy for those of you who did join. I think that's so wonderful. I'm so happy to have you there. And for those of you who didn't join, it's okay. It's totally fine. I don't feel brokenhearted or hurt about it at all. I just wish I would have thought a little bit more. I wish I would have thought better about it. So yeah. What else? Easter is coming. Yes, Easter is coming. And one of my colleagues, a good friend of mine, brought me some of these. I just opened them before I started to podcast. So they're called Maltesers. And I have heard so many people who I follow on Instagram talking about these. Malteser cakes. This is like the biggest thing. And they look amazing. They look so delicious. I've never seen them in America. Maybe I just hadn't looked for them, but I'd never seen them. So one of my English friends told me, oh my God, they're so delicious. I bring you some in. So today she brought me a package of Maltesers. Here they are. I want to try them on the podcast and let you guys know what I think. All right, so here's what it looks like. We're doing like a little taste test. And let's see. Ooh. Crunchy. Delicious. For those of you who've never had them before, and I'm sorry for those of you, if you live in America, if you actually cannot get them, I'm sorry for the temptation, because that was really delicious. The chocolate's pretty good, which is crazy because I don't think they're that expensive. Excuse me. And it's kind of like a malted milk ball, but way better quality. Delicious. I will enjoy that with my coffee after the podcast. I'm not going to sit and chomp in front of you. Yeah, so Easter is coming, and I'm excited. We're going to be going to Robert's parents. We're leaving this evening, Thursday, and after work, I've gotten into the habit of filming my podcasts early before I leave for work, and I love that so much better than how I used to do it. It just makes it, I don't know, I feel so much more relaxed and excited about it. I don't know why. But, okay, we're leaving today after work. And we're staying there until Monday, and then we're coming back and I work again on Tuesday. So I wanted to show you, you guys have already seen this, most of you anyway. So inside of Elodie's Easter basket, she's getting him. This is the Mini Bunny Love by Susan B. Anderson. I needle felted his face, and I made him a little pom-pom tail from my Knit Pro pom-pom makers, which I love. They make making pom-poms very easy. And a couple of people asked me how I got his ears to stand up. They just do on their own with the gauge. He has cute little feetsiosies. That's what Elodie calls her feetsiosies. Or her Fusies, because in German, feet is Fuß or Füße. And then I'll be giving her this. I made this quite a long time ago. See, this is another sort of granny chic thing. I made this quite a long time ago. And it's just an E for her name, cross stitch. And if I were to make it now, I would make it in different colors. I'm not a fan of this deep red. But it's okay. It turned out all right. And I think now she will appreciate it. I think she will really like it and she'll think it's pretty. And I would like to make her something special like this for some holidays, especially her birthday and Christmas. And then the back I just have covered with some really nice felted fabric, a really good high quality one for making garments. Actually, it's not for like child play or anything. And then I hung it with this pretty gold and cream bow. And then also in her Easter basket, things that aren't handmade. I just wanted to share with you the 2 handmade things because this is a handmade podcast. And I was so into cross stitching at one time. It's so crazy that I'm a bit sad that I haven't been devoting a lot of my time to my other crafts. I think about that kind of often, which is why I think a craft along is a really nice kind of special idea that makes us focus more on other things beside knitting. While knitting is wonderful and lovely and so much fun and a big part of all of us, other crafts are too, and they're important as well. So beside those 2 things, she's getting a huge, massive, it's like this big bubble blower, one that she dips in and then she can kind of spin around and blow really big bubbles with. I feel like we have way too many Easter things for her this year, actually. I think about maybe setting some things aside. And then she has Play-Doh, 6 different colors. We also got her a puzzle. She's 2 years old, but she's been working on a 15-piece puzzle, which she can do now. She's pretty good at it. And so I have a 30-piece puzzle. But I don't know. I don't know if she's ready for that or if I should save that for Christmas. And then today we picked up some animal bath toys. We totally had to get them. Robert picked me up on his bike from work today and we stopped at the store to get some groceries and we saw these adorable bath toys with a crocodile. She loves crocodiles. And we were like, we have to get it for her for Easter. Even though she's going to be spoiled rotten at Easter. I know she is. Robert's mom always gets her a lot of stuff. His sister and her husband always get Elodie so much stuff. I mean, it's Easter. She really just needs... In my opinion, this is kind of enough. I think too many gifts is just too much. It's ridiculous. I always got so many gifts when I was little. And I loved it. I thought it was so cool. But I don't know. I wonder, I don't think that's so important anymore now as an adult. So we'll see. But those are just kind of the ideas that I have for her for Christmas. I would love to see what you guys are, if you've made anything for your nieces, your nephews, your grandchildren, your own children, your friends, for Easter, any fun things, anything that you have for Easter, maybe that you've made in the past that you have in your house. I would love to share. I'm excited for Easter lunch. Robert's mom always makes my favorite food. She's making rabbit, which I don't like at all. But she's making klöße, which I've spoken about. You guys should follow my Instagram. I will be posting pictures. It's _homespun_house. And I post pictures on there every so often. And I will be posting a picture of Easter lunch. That is for sure. And then you guys can see what we're eating here in Germany for our Easter lunch. Yeah, I look forward to it. The weather's supposed to be gorgeous. And I hope that you guys have lovely weather as well. And I hope that you have a fantastic Easter if you celebrate Easter. I'm looking forward to it. I know it will be fun. I always love going to Robert's parents' house. It's so relaxing, so nice. Maybe I get to go into the yarn store once. I'm sure I will. And have a look around. Yeah, so enjoy the holiday time. I'm looking so forward to my 4-day weekend. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. The knit along will be wrapping up soon, in 2 weeks, I think. So we have a bit of time. I look forward to seeing you guys. Enjoy yourselves and have a fantastic weekend and spring break if you guys have spring break as well. Bye.